Hello. I don't normally do these, but because of the subject matter, is very important. Season 2 of The Rings of Power trailer has just dropped. Before we jump in, I just kind of want to just do a little bit of a catch up on kind of what Lord of the Rings means to me. I saw these movies when I was 11 years old, and I just think from that point onwards, my brain just expanded on what I could expect from movies. It just made me pay attention to the music, costumes, acting, sound, the cinematography, everything. It's how I imagine people seeing the very first Star Wars. How it just kind of just blew their minds. And from that point on, it just kind of sparked a deep love for filmmaking. For me, ultimately, it's just those movies have just left such an imprintation on my soul that over these years, it's literally just, it's in my fibers of being. It's just, they're flawless movies in my eyes. I think with those movies, the reason why they're still regarded as a benchmark, especially not only just for filmmaking as well, but in terms of storytelling, is that the creators, they set out to honor Tolkien's mythology and messages and the themes. They didn't push any agendas or anything. And there's even videos of Peter Jackson saying that, listen, we're not making the movies for ourselves, we're making it for Tolkien. And there's always that kind of motto, I guess, what would Tolkien do if they kind of ran into any corners, or they didn't know how to tackle a certain moment when adapting the books. And it translates onto screen clearly, even with the changes. Those movies are absolutely fantastic. So they generated a genuine care preserving, the essence in those movies. They're just the cinematic achievement is incredible. It's incredible. And it set a standard. That most movies should aspire to be. And sadly, 20 years on, there's been a handful of movies that have been incredible, but nothing has ever came close to reaching the magnitude of The Lord of the Rings. And then we obviously went into the Hobbit movies, and we know they were faced with difficulties. It's not Peter Jackson's and those guys' fault. They were up against it. They got pressures from studios. You can see all the videos. They were very open about it, and they got pressured. Whereas Lord of the Rings, they had to think over a year and a half to 2 years of prep. They were ready to roll before the start date of filming. The Hobbit movies, they were just rolling with this train. As I think they said about putting the tracks in front of the other whilst riding the train. So and forcing 2 movies into 3, it was a nightmare. And I know The Hobbit got a lot of flack. Yes, it's not perfect at all, and there's a lot of glaring issues. And it could easily be condensed down a lot. But in the grand scheme of things, oh sweet summer child, how we treated you so harshly compared to the Amazon Rings of Power. I think the general consensus of that show is pretty similar in that it is shit. And even you might go, well, even if, for example, it was if Tolkien and they weren't trying to do it, and it was just standalone, even on the most basic storytelling, it fails. It is just an abortion in storytelling. It is. That's the bottom line. For $1 billion, it should look, the CGI and stuff looks pretty good, pretty solid. It should do for that amount. But the choices, the execution, it's painful to watch. Painful. And you can tell it's just a corporate junk food churning machine where they don't care. Ultimately they didn't care. When you hear things like, oh, they fired or let go Tom Shippey, who's this Tolkien scholar. He is a living Tolkien in your hands. And you're coming up with, because I know they don't have certain rights to certain things, I get that, but be creative with it as long as you're trying to honor certain things from Tolkien's mythology. And as I said, the Lord of the Rings, they had to take creative liberties in certain things of adapting the book, but those changes were filtered through as much of Tolkien's kind of language. The show, they fired Tom Shippey because he probably said, well, you can't do this, what the hell is this contradicts this, blah blah blah, and they didn't want to hear it, so they fired him. And not only that, you ghost Peter Jackson his emails when he reaches out to you and says, hey, if you want me to come on as a consultant or read some of the material that you're doing, nothing. So what? So that tells me straight away they just don't give a shit. Basically, they don't give a shit, and it shows. The show is just painful. The person who plays Galadriel, the actors and the actors involved, I hope they got paid well. It's not their fault. If you got given the role to be in it, I wouldn't say no. If I got given a role to direct one of the episodes, I wouldn't say no. But it's the characters, should I say, are so unlikable. I mean, Galadriel, for example, why have you got this pissy, vinegar, snotty teenager? I know the argument is, she's younger and stuff like that, and everything, but wielding a sword, being a dick to her comrades and stuff, and it's just horrendous. It's just horrendous. You look at Galadriel in Lord of the Rings, Cate Blanchett, beautiful, ethereal, elegant, but with her eyes, that she could probably just disintegrate you off the face of the earth because she's that. It's just, when did femininity become, why did we shy away from that in these days, and have this sort of macho, very manly woman. You look at Galadriel and you just think, oh my god, it's just how they portrayed her in the movies, and Arwen as well, and Eowyn as well, and it was done so beautifully and written so well. And that's the thing is, writing story, writing good characters, that's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. And then you hear this. I know I'm going on, but I need to get this off my chest. And then you're seeing, now they announced that they're doing, Warner Brothers are teaming up with Peter Jackson and everything. And you think, because you got to know Peter Jackson and those guys. You can imagine him sitting in New Zealand there with like a tankard, just drinking and watching The Rings of Power, just thinking, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this we're watching? This is just, I can imagine they've got to, they must have, and they probably sat down and thought, how can we two fingers up to Amazon? What better way to announce a set of new movies, with the original team coming back, a big, FU to Amazon, and then they announced Gollum the movie, and why? Do we need a Gollum the movie? No one wants this. No one's asked for this. Gollum's arc in The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings is done. And you talk about the hunt for Gollum, there's only like a paragraph or stuff in the book with the appendices or whatever. It's only a little bit. This means then you've got to have Ian McKellen come back. All right, if they're not shooting in 2026, let's be honest, the guy's in his 80s. Replacing Viggo Mortensen with another actor or unknown actor and stuff, unthinkable in my eyes. So, what's wrong with these filmmakers and what's wrong with people in Hollywood? Are they just? I think there's something wrong in their minds. It frustrates me. All this money and everything, and these are the kind of ideas, and it not only just translates into kind of the Hobbit movies, it translates into Star Wars, into Harry Potter, it translates into Marvel and DC. I'm sure that's be a topic for another time, but you get where I'm going with this. We just want good stories, well-written characters, and that's it. We don't want much. just some timeless themes. And yeah, it's and so Rings of Power season 2, they said, oh yes, we now have an all-female production cast. Well, that's a bit sexist towards men, and having an all-women production crew and cast, production crew team, well, that's not going to fix your writing issues, is it? Right, okay, let's watch this new trailer.
An evil, ancient and powerful, has returned.
Prepare yourselves.
He worms his way inside your mind. The crest of him slithers in.
I think he has been here. I think he's been here among us all along.
Every soul in Middle-earth is in peril.
He's so long.
Initial thoughts, visually, looks good. As I mentioned earlier, for $1 billion, you expect it to look good. Yeah, the effects are cool. Again, just because it looks cool doesn't mean it's going to be good. And how many movies have we seen in the last 6-7 years where visually it looks great, but the story, if the story and the characters aren't good or well thought out, or come from a genuine place and heart, you can chuck any cool visuals on it and it's gonna be shit still. So again, visually looks cool, looks good. I mean, there's some nice kind of moments where it's like ooh, but ultimately story, character is king. And I don't want to be one of those keyboard warriors. No, I'm not one of these people. Oh, that's shit. Hopefully from this video I have a reason, I have a thought, and there's a reason why I say these things, because it comes from a place of passion and love for this material. And yeah, so I don't just bash for the sake of bashing. And well, people might say, well, you do something better, or you try and do something. What are you? You're just on your computer. And I go, well, I'm a filmmaker, and later this year or early next year, there is a movie that's coming out that we're making, and it can be seen. See, here's the poster for it. And yeah, we're doing our own stab at the fantasy genre. And yeah, all the trailers and the behind the scenes can be seen on our channel, or my channel. You can see it there. So yeah, we're trying to create our own world as well with our project and things like that. So yes, it will be for you to scrutinize it as I scrutinize it. So yeah, so I mean, in summary, that's kind of my thoughts on Lord of the Rings in a nutshell. Everything from first seeing it to seeing this now. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But as I say, you can't polish a turd.